It told us, Adam, we are live. Happy Friday.
Live broadcast from the studios of Vincent Esquire. Hey, everybody. I'm Adam.
I'm Paul. We're Vincent Esquire, like you just said.
Thanks for joining us.
Adam, if it's Friday, what does that mean we're doing?
It's time to learn a little quarantine edition, QuaranTEN that turns into 20. Quarantine edition. Hope we can share some useful knowledge for folks for something that impacts their real estate ownership.
That's right. Yep. So today we are going to talk about varying ways to transfer real estate. The traditional way is probably how you ended up in your home, is just buying it from a seller. There was a bank involved, some money was exchanged, and now you're on the title of that property. Well, there's a whole bunch of other ways that through a deed, right? So we're going to talk about varying other ways to transfer real estate, either deed or otherwise. And yeah, Adam, I don't know about you, but I am really jacked up, excited about it.
This is absolutely. This is the type of Friday excitement people are used to, and I get probably used to in the quarantine, actually, because the excitement level's down. But this is helpful. Hopefully, it is something that can avoid some headaches later on when either selling or potentially if someone passes away who owns property. This is something helpful to know about.
Right. So we're going to go with the first one here, Adam.
Roger.
And what I'm able to do is to, and before we get going too far, Adam, I think we should probably thank our sponsor.
Absolutely.
Without Vincent Esquire and their very generous contribution, we probably wouldn't be able to be here today.
State-of-the-art studios. Absolutely. Thanks, Vincent Esquire.
Right. So what I'm going to do now is we're going to go over varying ways to do it. I'm going to pull it up on the screen. We are probably going to be hidden, but I'm going to let you take this first one. And why don't you tell people what it means to transfer real estate by survivorship?
So by survivorship is a survivorship interest is created by statute, by Ohio law. It's common across the country. And what it does is it sets up ownership so that if it's owned by two people in survivorship, joint with rights of survivorship is the important language if you're reading your deed and wondering if it's survivorship language. That language allows under the law for that property to transfer to the survivor of the two owners upon the passing of the first owner. So the first owner passes away. The second owner actually does file some paperwork. It's a affidavit stating the person passed away. I own it with them. They passed away on this date. Here's the death certificate. That goes out to the recorders, into the public record, and now it's owned by the one owner. No longer the surviving owner now owns it free and clear. Well, maybe not free and clear. 100% interest anyway. And that's survivorship. Right. So it's through the deed, the original deed by which owners take their property. Survivorship warranty deed, usually.
That's right. And this is very helpful for folks that know that they have it titled that way, but sometimes you don't have. Oh my gosh, it looks like we have a live caller. Somebody finally took the bait and clicked. So let me see who we got here. We're bringing up, hello. This young lady's name is Chloe, and she's got a great hat on.
Hey, never met. Hey,
hi.
Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for joining us. Do you have a question? Do you have a question for us?
She does.
Yeah.
She's excited.
How can I tell if my deed is set up for survivorship?
What a timely question. Wow.
Thank you, Chloe. That's great. Yeah, that's important to know.
Do you want to tell her, Adam, or do you want me to tell her?
Go ahead.
Okay, so the most basic way to do it is, one, you can pay some clunky lawyers like me and Adam to help figure it out for you, but you can do it yourself by going to your county recorder website. Now, we have 88 counties in Ohio, Chloe. You, I think, probably live in Cuyahoga County. But you have to go to the county website and find your house, and then in it will be the deed. There's certain language in a deed that says a house is set up or property is set up in survivorship, and you are loving this, I'm sure. And long story short, there's specific language that notes that it's held jointly with rights or survivorship. If that language is in there, you're probably good. But it's always good, Chloe, to consult with a lawyer when you're making these decisions. So I hope that answered it for you. Adam, did that even answer it? I don't know.
That did. So yeah, no, go to your county recorder who has all the public record, and that's where your deed's found. And then you have to look at the language of the deed and how you took ownership of that property.
Thanks so much, Chloe, for coming aboard.
Thank you.
And if you ever have questions, you can contact us on our website.
Thanks for joining us, Chloe. Appreciate it.
Bye.
Have a great weekend. Well, that was awfully nice to have somebody hop aboard. That was really good.
Didn't know we had a young crowd following us, and that's good to know.
I mean, I buy it. So we've talked about survivorship. The next one I'm going to talk about is the transfer on death designation affidavit. This
Who's the neighbor? Who's the neighbor in Tool Time?
Yeah. No, it's Tim the Tool Man Taylor. Howdy ho, neighbor. So transfer on death designation affidavit is important if you want to escape. I'm going to get this out of the way. It's in the comments if you guys want to read more specifically. But a TOD is a non-probate transfer that occurs upon your passing. So everybody gets a parcel number for their real estate. That parcel number is basically where you're going to find anything having to do with your real estate. Your mortgage you'll be able to pull up on that parcel, and then something like this TOD gets recorded against that parcel. So it's essentially, I think it's maybe 2 pages, maybe 3 pages, but I think it's only 2, saying that upon passing, I want the recorder's office to transfer it to these people. So if I were to be a single person and I had a daughter named Chloe, if I wanted to escape her having to go to probate court to get ownership in that, then I would just file this transfer on death designation affidavit against my parcel. And then when I pass away, all she has to do is go to the recorder's site with my death certificate with a big frown and hand it over. And then she will be on title. So it's a very, very fast and efficient way to transfer real estate.
Yeah, and so this is a way to transfer it upon a death, but the person doesn't actually own it currently. They don't have any interest in it currently. You just record this to say, I want it to be my interest to be transferred on my death to this other party who has no ownership at this point. The nice thing about it is, instead of owning a property with someone jointly with survivorship, this allows so that they are not on title currently. So you do have the flexibility of if you change your mind or want to add another beneficiary or something later on, you don't have to get that other person who's already on a deed to sign off. You just do a new transfer on death designation affidavit and name all the beneficiaries you want. A new one voids an old one, and so you get some flexibility that way.
I like it. Sounds good. Let's move right along. Moving right along here. If anybody wants to come live, of course you can answer them. So we have a whole bunch of different ways, and we're not going to talk about all those, Adam, because I think it'll be super boring.
Absolutely. We already put them to sleep.
I just dozed off. I just woke up. So I just want to make sure we make through this thing. So we'll talk about this one briefly. This is it's a seller finance transfer. So it's essentially treating yourself as if you're the bank, if you're the property owner. So there's times that people don't want to own their real estate. We did everybody a favor there. So seller financing is essentially using your real estate and acting as a bank and allowing someone to earn equity in that property. So if you are truly acting like a bank, it's called a money mortgage. You basically transfer title. You come to terms on what the mortgage looks like, and you are able to you just transfer title, and someone owns your house free and clear except for your mortgage. So let's say your house is worth $100K. Someone gives you some payment money, and there's $90,000 left owed to you. You put a mortgage on just like you're a bank. and you transfer title. That's like a traditional way of doing it. The other way is where you hold title and allow someone to start earning equity, and that's called land installment contract. Now, we don't want to get into the meat and potatoes of these because it's really boring, but those are two easy ways to transfer yourself. Oh man, we got another one. We got another with somebody waiting.
Very active.
So seller financing is a very powerful way to be more hands off, but also either create cash flow or make better cash flow from your real property.
And I'll just add real quickly with seller financing before you fall asleep that this is also, but it offers another option to outright selling it for a buyer who maybe doesn't have the down payment or isn't able to get a loan from a bank at this point, but hopefully will in a couple of years. That's where it kind of gets a bad rap because some people take advantage of this arrangement and set up one-sided deals when they're seller financing with a buyer who's never going to be able to buy it. That's a different story. But it does allow some flexibility and is a tool that can be very useful for seller and for potential buyers.
Right. Yeah.
Cool.
And there's other things to consider too, that if you're doing this frequently, you have to get a loan originator on it according to Dodd-Frank federal law. So anyway, we'll touch on that more later. Adam, without further ado, let's get another caller on.
Oh, wow.
That's a different story. This is useful for seller and for potential buyers.
Is this where you turn down your radio?
Yes, sir. Turn your radio down, sir. You have to get a loan originator on it according to Dodd-Frank.
We sound great, Paul.
Yeah, we do. So
how do I turn that down?
Touch on that more later. Oh wow. That's a good story. This is for seller and for buyers.
This is a good recap.
Yeah, I'm having a little echo issue. Yes, you do.
Is Facebook open somewhere?
Yes, Facebook.
Yes.
Open All right. Well, we're going to come back to your caller right in 1 second.
Okay, got it, I think.
Oh, that was easy. I think you're good. Yeah, it's gone now. Good job, buddy.
Hi there,
so
Greg.
You have a question for us?
Yeah, I've heard of, and it may not be a transfer, but what exactly is a life interest?
A life interest. Adam, do you want to answer that?
Sure. Yeah. Life estate is there's all kinds of different ways you can have ownership or a tenancy in land. Leases are actually having a tenancy, so you have some rights to that land, and that's a common one people are familiar with, and that gives you certain rights related to the land you have a lease on or the apartment you have a lease on. Life estate is a type of ownership where you might transfer it to someone else, but have a life estate, and that gives you rights to the property during your lifetime. And then, obviously, if you pass away, then they just own it free and clear of that life estate of the person who was holding on to a life estate. So it's essentially ownership of an ownership interest that has certain rights and that lasts during a person's lifetime. And so, a good example is a grandparent or parent who's getting older wants to transfer it to kids, but retain a life estate while they live there during their lifetime.
I see.
How'd I do? What else to add, Paul?
And another reason folks would do it is it does help with some Medicaid planning. Medicaid might come and say, hey, you're already a tenant there, so you owe some money. But it's a strategy that some folks use for Medicaid planning, where I don't want to own the real estate anymore, so I don't have that asset on the books, but I do want somewhere to live while I'm still here. So yeah, that's a good question, Greg. Smart guy. How's everything going down there?
Oh, just wonderful.
Beautiful snow out today.
Yeah, it was snowing a few minutes ago.
Oh boy.
Well, good. Well, thanks for the question, man.
Thanks, man. I like. Is that the Jake in the background?
Is that the what in the background? The Jake? Yeah.
Field? Yeah.
Yes.
Very nice.
Wait.
Someday we'll be back there.
Wait a second. Oh my gosh. And the crowd goes wild.
Wow. A little treat for everybody today.
I know, buddy. We'll talk to you later.
Best learn a little ever.
Yeah.
Thanks, Greg.
That's
All right. Thanks for the
Yeah,
answer.
you got it. Very good. Well, moving right along here. So there's three others, and let's just touch on them briefly. The probate transfer is one that's kind of taken care of in its name. So that's if you have a last will and testament and you want to transfer it to particular parties. You put it in your will, and the probate court is going to go through their processes and make that transfer occur. So probate is another common way to transfer real estate. Is you have a court involved, and they put it where you want it to go. So.
Yep. Or if you don't have a will, it goes by whatever the state statute says. But a court orders that. So that's a court-ordered transfer.
Yep. Fantastic. Yep. So I could have brought them up. Adam, here's another one. This is the trust ways of transferring. We have two more ways. So let's talk about this one briefly.
Yeah, real quick, a living revocable trust, a helpful thing for people to think about as a trust is essentially a contract between you and a trustee, which might also be you, and then deals with distributing assets that get put into the trust. And so that's kind of the way it's set up. It's a way where you can transfer a property into the trust. So now the trust owns it, and then it's handled however the trust lays out, and the trustee is charged with doing whatever the contract says, whatever the trust document says. So that's one other option for transferring property, and that kind of lays out how it could be transferred down the road and to whom.
That's right. Yep. It's just and you can get creative with trusts, and that's one of the other benefits of trusts. It's you can kind of split up stuff however you want. You can define it for your successor trustee to disperse however you want and whatever timeline. So it's an interesting mechanism, and it also makes it completely private. So no one, until something's recorded, a deed transfers, no one needs to know what your plans are until time's up. And the last one, kind of go along with the living trust. The opposite side of that is the irrevocable trust, that when you set that agreement, that's how it is forever. So this is used often for asset protection purposes. Once a trust includes an asset, that asset goes to that beneficiary according to that trust forever, and creditors can't come after it. So this is useful for anyone looking for Medicaid planning. It's called a qualified personal residence trust. It allows for you to drop that asset from your books for Medicaid planning purposes. If you're up there in age and you're worried about, Uncle Sam getting the proceeds from that asset. So it's something we help a lot of folks with. So if anybody has any questions about any of these multiply is a word.
What a little.
I just learned a little. So anyway, that's it.
Cool, guys. Thanks for joining us, everybody who's out there joining us later.
Anybody else want to come on live and ask us something silly? I mean, the best part was Greg, for sure, and the echoing.
Sure, the echoing. Sure, turn down your radio. I loved it.
Hey, Daryl's here. There he is.
Hey, Daryl. Thanks,
Daryl,
buddy.
good to see you. Well, unless anybody has any other questions, I think we should do everybody a favor and remove us from their feed.
Sounds good.
Adam, I hope you learned a little, because I learned a little.
Absolutely, man. Appreciate you sharing the value, Paul. Always good.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, I'll talk to you later. Have a good weekend, everybody, and stay warm.
Thanks, everybody. Take care.